Well, if you think the stadium conversation's over, you're wrong. In some ways, it's kind of just getting started again. Patrick Tuohey is with the Show Me Institute. He has been all over this. He is on KCMO. He had some breaking news coverage earlier. Was it earlier this week, late last week? I don't know. I got the baby brain going on there. But Patrick, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
All right. So Clay County with the Royals. What did you break on that front? What is going on that front?
So somebody passed on to me the results of an open record request they did in Clay County, which just shows kind of all the term sheets over time, what they were negotiating for, what those negotiations looked like. They passed it on to me, and I was happy to publish it. Again, it's not a gotcha. I don't know that there's a smoking gun in here, but I wanted to get those documents out because it is such a source of interest, of course, that I want people to understand what the Royals were looking for and what Clay County was willing and able to give away. And again, I have not studied these carefully, but I've got to say, I think Clay County comes out of this looking good. I mean, they were asking all the right questions. It was a real negotiation. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that this makes anyone look bad. I just want these documents to be out.
So Clay County comes out looking good, and you're saying basically what it appears happened is they were going through a negotiation, the Royals with Clay County, and then Jackson County just basically backed up the dump truck and said, come on back here. Here's what we can do for you. Is that what you think happened?
Well, so, of course, we don't know. I've got to preface that. This is all just hunches, but you're absolutely right. On January 16, the Royals sent Clay County a letter saying, we consider these negotiations to be on hold. We're kind of talking with Jackson County.
Yeah.
And also, please keep all these records secret. Right?
Yeah.
And it says, this is the result of a conversation this morning, so maybe the Royals had actually informed them a few days prior. I don't know, but this is when the letter is dated. Now, it's perfectly reasonable to ask what happened. What was it that was going on that made the Royals want to negotiate with Frank White, someone they said they had been frustrated with, said they didn't like? Something was offered to them. I suspect that was something from Kansas City, Missouri, not Jackson County. And I would love to know what that pitch was that was so compelling that the Royals pulled out of negotiations with Clay County, got back into bed with Frank White to negotiate, ignored their two finalist locations and moved to the East Crossroads, and rushed an April 2 election that they clearly were not ready for. So this was, you think of the meme of the car steering abruptly off into the exit. Like, this is what they did, and that must have been one hell of an offer that I think the city made them. But, of course, those are documents I'd love to have. I don't have.
Is there a way to get those documents?
Yes. I mean, you file an open records request with the city. That has been a weeks-long process. I don't know that it's resolved.
But they have to abide by it, right?
Well, look, they've got an opportunity to interpret the open records law, and they're going to interpret it this way, and I'm going to say it's not right, and who knows how a judge will decide. But ultimately, I think the city has been in some sort of negotiations with the Royals since midway through January, and we should know what those offers are. For example, when the city makes economic development offers to J.E. Dunn or Power and Light, when they go at least through the TIF process, they're always open. We know what they're asking for. We know what they're being offered. Why this is any different, I don't understand, and I don't think it is any different. I think these are open records, and we should know them. But I understand city leadership doesn't want to share them.
So, I mean, you're laying out this case here that makes perfect sense. We had two finalists, East Village, North Kansas City. They throw a total curveball at the last minute in the ninth inning, and we get this East Crossroads site. Pisses off everybody for different reasons, and no one really knows why.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that there's something the city put on the table here that why don't the Royals just say what it was? I mean, Frank White has alluded to it. I've heard Frank White say that Kansas City offered him something they couldn't refuse. Why don't the Royals come out and say what that was? Do they still want to play nice for some reason, I guess? They don't want to blow up the relationship? What's that all about?
That's a great question. You ask great questions. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. And you would think they would be chastened by a campaign we just came out of that was so bereft of any transparency or commitment. You would think they would say, all right, whatever we do, from this point on has to be open and transparent. You would think that, but not yet.
So, all right, Clay County, Patrick Tuohey, Show Me Institute's on KCMO. Clay County, based on what you've seen, do you feel like there is a conversation to reignite those conversations?
Well, there could be.
Yeah.
They were working through negotiations, and I want to compliment Clay County negotiators on one thing in a minute. They had these negotiations. I'm confident they were in good faith. And then all of a sudden, Clay County is told we're putting the brakes on this because, we may have a better deal in Jackson County. I wanted to get these documents out there because if negotiations were resumed with Clay County, I think it's fair to assume this would be the starting point, these last documents. But again, I don't know. I'm not aware that the Royals and Clay County are talking to each other since April 2. It may be that they will never consider Clay County again or North Kansas City again. I just don't know. But I think Clay County, the commissioners and whoever was negotiating on behalf of those taxpayers, did a fine job. In one of the documents that I released, it's dated November 2023. It says that the county requires, in order for there to be an April 2024 vote, the county requires that there is a substantial agreement on the terms of the development agreement, on the stadium management contract, on the stadium lease agreement, and the community benefits agreement. So basically, Clay County said, before we put this on the ballot, we want to settle all these things. Now, that is a completely reasonable decision for them to make. It is exactly what Frank White in Jackson County kept asking for and was never given. So they want to beat up on Frank White for slowing things down and not being willing to negotiate, yet they were willing to negotiate with Clay County on the very terms that Frank White wanted to know, which is we need these things settled before it goes to the ballot.
Yeah, that's a great point. So now, also the angle I'm looking at it from is Clay County. Clay County commissioners have got to be leery of putting any kind of sales tax on the ballot, seeing what just happened in Jackson County, especially in a county like Clay that, is probably a little more anti-tax than Jackson is. Right?
Yes. Well, they've got a smaller base, so it's going to have to be a higher amount. And originally, the Royals came and said, we want a 1 cent sales tax for 40 years. And I think it ended up at 5/8 cent sales tax after negotiation. And then it's a matter of revenue sharing, right? So I think Clay County said, we want some of the tax to pay for basic services. Again, Clay County, and congratulations to them, in their negotiation said, we want some of the revenue from naming rights, or other concerts or stuff like that. So here, Clay County was negotiating, I think, in good faith. It appears to me that they were good stewards. Again, I don't think these deals are ever good for municipalities. Let me make that clear. But they were negotiating in good faith, and then the Royals just said, never mind, we want to negotiate with Jackson County. And again, as listeners will recall, Frank White vetoed the Jackson County deal exactly because it didn't have all these specifics in it, and the legislature overruled him. And, of course, it was defeated after that. So the Royals maybe don't know what's going on. Maybe they don't know what killed all this stuff. I think it's pretty obvious, but they are moving forward perhaps without any of without any lessons learned. How's that?
Well, I guess I don't know if we'll know if they learned any lessons until we see what they come back with.
That's right. That's right.
In terms of if they come back to Clay County and they say a sales tax, revenue sharing's involved, could you see a scenario where you thought that was good public policy or no?
Again, I'll never think these things are good, but there's better and there's worse.
Yeah. I
would love to see the Royals get some income from maybe the non-sporting events that are put on at these places, either at Arrowhead or maybe if a downtown stadium doesn't include Jackson County at all, the city should get some revenue from maybe non-sporting events. We should retain naming rights. After all, we own the building, right? The city is going to own the building because the Royals don't want to pay taxes on it. So I'd like to see naming rights. I'd like to see external advertising, something. It's sort of like, all right, I understand that you want help building it. We will help you finance, but we've got to have something on the back end. So often these deals basically say to the public, give us some money so we can build this, and also you will not share in any of the results. And I don't think it's crazy for taxpayers, either at the county or city level, to say, give us a taste.
Patrick Tuohey doing great work at the Show Me Institute. Where can people find these documents, by the way, if they want to look at them?
Thank you for asking. So if you go to the Show Me Institute website, which is showmeinstitute.org, it is the second or third blog post down. It should be right there on the main page, just below the headline. And again, I haven't looked through these too closely, but I encourage everyone to dig into them, and maybe someone out there knows something I don't, and the documents help them understand this deal.
ShowMeInstitute.org. Good work, my friend. Thanks for being here.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.
Patrick Tuohey of the Show Me Institute on KCMO Talk Radio.